Greetings, dear chess fans and experts. This is FIDE Master Max Omariev with you. Today we'll take a look at how Magnus Carlsen plays Blitz with 30 seconds on the clock. This game was played at breakneck speed, so I'll comment on it as lightning fast as Magnus plays here. And by the way, he plays against his now former manager, FIDE Master Espen Agdestein. So will 30 seconds be enough for him or not? Let's see. Here we have the King's Gambit. Magnus is down a pawn, but he attacks the f-file and captures the center. He takes g5, but loses the d4 pawn. Here I slowed down a bit so you can better see what's happening on the board. He plays very fast. Magnus takes the queen on d6. Queens exchange. Magnus has two bishops, but he's without a pawn. Can he do anything with this few seconds? So he takes the bishop and the h7 pawn. One pawn is already won back. Material is level, plus Magnus has the advantage of two bishops. He wins a pawn, blunders on f7, and Magnus decides to go for the rook ending. Takes on e5, gives up a pawn on f6, but clings to the f pawn. He has an extra pawn plus a good rook. The opponent's f4 pawn is weak, and now he convoys a passed pawn to promotion. Magnus has 10 seconds left. You can see the clock in the upper left corner. Rooks come off, but the pawn ending is, of course, 1. Will 6 seconds be enough for Magnus? 5 seconds? 4. Look at how many moves he manages to make in a second. 3, 2, come on Magnus, move that pawn. 1. No, Magnus is out of time. 30 seconds wasn't enough to beat the FIDE Master. Now let's analyze how well Magnus played. It started with the King's Gambit, which is now very rarely played, especially the one that was played by Magnus Carlsen. Well, by the way, the King's Gambit more often starts with a second move f4, but after knight c3 we get a kind of the Vienna game. But in this case the bishop is moved to c4 first. But here Magnus immediately played f4 and we essentially got the King's Gambit. ef, d4, and here Espen plays g5. This move is not the best one. Queen h4 is stronger in this move order, and white has to move his king to e2. The point is that if we play g3, then black goes fg. We can't take the pawn with the move hg because the h1 rook will be in danger, so we can't play g3. We have to play king e2, and here we can play g5. So we prevent white from castling, the king goes to the center. But in fact, objectively, this is not a very good position for white here. But it will do for a blitz game. But after g5, Magnus Carlsen just gets a small advantage here. He takes g5, gives up d4. By the way, Carlsen plays brilliantly. He raised the move knight f6 in seconds. I'm sure he didn't know how to play here. e5. The move is not the best here. The f6 pawn was in danger, but there were better ways to protect it. He could play bishop d2. The point is that we develop the bishop, and on queen takes f6, we just play bishop c3, and there the rook on h8 hangs. So we can't take the pawn on f6, and the move bishop d2 is much better than e5. It was a bit inaccurate of Magnus, playing e5 here. But nevertheless, he takes d6, queens exchange, bishop d2, long castling, and bishop c3. Here's the second inaccuracy. It was more accurate to play bishop a5, attacking the rook, and after b6, bishop b4. The d6 pawn hangs, and black just loses it. White has 2 hits. Black has no defense so far, and of course he loses it. That was the second inaccuracy in the game, and that's it. The rest of the game Magnus played just brilliantly. Here Espen blunders the h7 pawn. He could avoid it by playing bishop takes f3 and h5, and here we have a roughly equal position. Then black plays h4. Black has an extra pawn, but white has 2 bishops, and they make up for the missing pawn. Well, after rook e8, we have material equality, and further, Magnus makes such a sacrifice of bishop takes f7. The point is that if the rook hits, the g6 knight is lost, and if the knight hits, then again, the knight on g6 is lost. So here Magnus has already won a pawn and then used it just great. Everything was just perfect. And let me remind you that he has just 30 seconds. Here, of course, he could have gone a bit faster after the pawn. Instead of playing king c5, he could have immediately played king e5, for example. Maybe then he would have had enough time. and promote the pawn here. He lost a bit of time here. He played king c5, then b6, and only then king d5. In general, his moves were not quite good here. It was better to move like this, because here black would have spent time on the move king b6. And here white wins with no risk at all. No risk at all! With a lot of extra tempo. But the way Magnus played, here he literally had enough time to create a winning position. Here king f5, f4, he passes the move. And then he easily promoted the pawn. But unfortunately, there was not enough time. So as we saw, Magnus played just brilliantly with just 30 seconds. And I thank you for your attention. Hit the like if you liked this video and how fast Magnus defeated his manager. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and don't forget to hit the bell button as well to make sure you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Also check our Telegram channel and Instagram channel where we post only the latest news in the world of chess. Keep playing and studying chess, and I'll see you soon.